But one of the big podcast guy out at the minute, Joe Rogan. Have you ever heard of that guy?
No.
He's this piece of shit. But of course, you're the host of Sit Down Zumock podcast, and you're part of. Are you the official co-host of Misery Loves Company, or is that just the regular seat?
I refused to accept the co-host position because it never ends well. So it just, I mean, look at you got. I told Kevin I don't want to be a co-host because I'll be gone eventually. I was like, I'd rather be friends with you because I mean, as soon as the co-host's done, he never talks to him ever again. I'll go, well, I don't want to be a part of that.
But I gotta ask you though about Joe Rogan, where it's just come out over the last 2 weeks that his podcast listenership has gone down by 80%.
Has it?
Yeah, and I'm sure he could give a fuck because he's making $100 million, and I'm sure he sits up at night and cries that people aren't listening. But when it comes to Joe Rogan's podcast and it comes to your podcast, do you think that the comedy scene is going a little too far and oversaturating the mark with the podcast world?
I mean, I am a podcast listener. Comics figured out a way to get their voices to be heard. I mean, there's a lot of podcasts I don't listen to, and they're very, very, very popular podcasts. Like, Tom Segura has a podcast. I don't listen to it. Theo Vaughn has a podcast. I don't listen to it. It's like, so there's a lot of like comics, but they have huge followings. So the thing about Rogan, like, yeah, he went over to Spotify and people are creatures of a habit. Like, I know one guy, he's sitting right behind you, Jim Florentine. He's like, I just quit listening to Rogan because I don't want to download Spotify. It's that simple. He's like, and I was like, yeah, it's like, there's so many options now. So you just go on to the next thing. But like you said, Rogan can probably give a fuck. I mean, he made a shitload of money and good for him.
I think that would be hilarious if Florentine downloaded Spotify and then he started streaming songs and he'd be like, hey, Chad, have you heard of this Lady Gaga? She's fucking good, bro. And the whole fucking thing, like, he would completely switch and he'd stop being that metal guy. He'd be that woke guy. And do you think he ever stuck his tongue up Robin Quiver's asshole?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
I will do. Will we call him on the air?
Nah, we're good.
But with Rogan,
he's going to be on MLC later today, just for the record.
That'll be a lot of smiles.
Yeah.
But with Rogan, do you think that would you say that it's fair to say that he's overtaken Howard Stern, or at least become more relevant than Howard Stern?
I think Joe Rogan going to Spotify was very similar to Howard going from terrestrial to Sirius XM, because he lost a lot of his audience too doing that, and it is what it is, but the diehards stick around. But yeah, undeniably, he's the biggest podcast in the world, even though he went to Spotify. I mean, it still makes news. It's still in a conversation, and, he still sells out everywhere. So I have nothing against Rogan. In fact, he's always been very nice to me when I see him. So I'm not one of these guys. Like, I don't even know if he really knows who I am, but he does acknowledge me like he knows who I am. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. He said I was funny on one of his podcasts, so I think he does know who I am.
Yeah, he's always trying to get me to go on his show, and I'm like, fuck that. Busy.
Yeah, I know. I get it.